All right, let's do this. But before we start, this is really important. This is, I even think, for the future of this channel, for the future of me being able to talk about racing with you guys. What I'm saying is we need to be able to have a really mature conversation about this, okay? A really constructive, mature conversation about incidents that happen in bike racing, because otherwise I'm just not going to be able to talk about them. So that's on you and that's on me. The way this plays out over the next 10 minutes and then in the comments and all that kind of stuff is mature, okay? We got that agreement, because this is the litmus test. With that said, the way I want to do this is pretty simple. I want to deep dive into the footage, pick out what went wrong and what should have happened, okay? Constructive, positive, constructive. How many times can I say constructive? And the second thing I want to do is something that's been on my mind for a long time. And again, it has to be a mature chat that we have. But it's a chat about the effect of indoor racing and what effect that's having on, well, outdoor racing. So what I want to do is really have a look at why we crashed, what we can possibly learn from this, and really analyse it from a constructive perspective, okay guys? So we're at Heffron Park, and as you can see on the left, it's 20 minutes into kind of an hour criterium. So it's been a solid, tough race so far. And we are going to come onto the straight. So the straight normally is, and it is on this particular occasion, a cross tailwind. So the wind is going to be coming sort of over our left shoulders. Now guys, I really want you to pay attention to the gutter here, because the fight is going to be for the gutter, because that's where we're all going to be. And particularly the surging and just the fight for the wheels and the way positioning plays here. So we're going to play the ball a little bit further and look at the surge from the rider in front. So he's got an enormous amount of power there. He's put a huge amount of power down to surge onto the wheel in front, okay? And as we sort of play this a little bit further, you'll see that the speed he's carrying, huge speed, has taken him almost straight up to the wheel in front very, very quickly. And this is where things, for all of us, get interesting, okay? And we're going to really look at this. So he's got up there, play it on a little bit further, and that speed that he has carried, the speed that he's carried up to that wheel, has him now overlapping wheels, which is something that happens in the gutter all the time. No issues with that at all. Unfortunately though, he's in the wind, and he makes a decision here to cut onto the other side of the wheel. But of course, he's got so much speed at this point that it's not particularly feasible for him to do that. And unfortunately, that's the consequences. So with a heap of power comes responsibility, and I think that's probably what we really learnt here. And I want to pick this out with you guys, really looking at the speed of the rider in front, because I think that's one of the most obvious things we can look at here. So managing your speed and your positioning. And at this point, we've got a little green arrow, and the green arrow is basically going to show that there's a safe sort of space, a safe speed. We're at a similar speed to each other, okay? Now, as the surge comes on down the straight, you'll see the guy 2 in front starts to surge away. So our rider in front has to therefore put some more power down, okay? More power down, which is obviously therefore going to increase his speed. And here we go. Here's the big increase of speed, which takes him into essentially a danger zone of traveling at a different speed than the rider in front. And managing this in a situation like this is what this all comes down to. And in fact, he's in a perfect position here. There's no questions. He's carrying a bit of speed. He can stay out on the left. He's got the power. He doesn't need to come in and fight for that gutter, which essentially and eventually leads to all our downfall. Okay, one last little bit from the race I want to show. This is from earlier on. This is from 8 minutes in. I was in the second or third lap, and a very, very similar position. I'd actually just come back from a little attack, and I'm going to have to accelerate back onto this rider to stay in the race here. This is obviously the cross tailwind section, and if I don't sort of close that gap, I could very happily get dropped very early in this race. So I'm going to have to accelerate up to the rider in front of me. And as I do that, we're starting to see some similarities to what we saw before. I'm traveling much faster than the guy in front of me. And Again, I'm going to have to make this decision very soon. Coming in even closer, traveling faster than him, time to start managing my speed and my position, okay? And this is really where I want to show the responsibility of riders to be predictable. And you can see here that I'm going to have to make a decision to be predictable, stay the line that I'm in, which is slightly more in the wind. And even though it kind of looks like he's wobbling around a bit, he's not really. He's being very consistent in his position there. And I'm in, I suppose, a bit of a safe zone there where I am at the moment. I'm not trying to fight for the inside of that wheel. And as you can see, it's a better outcome than the last trip down the straight. Hey, crashing in bike racing happens. I want it to be part of these videos. I want to be able to share this stuff with you. But like I said in the beginning, this is the test, okay? We have to be able to have that mature chat. Now, speaking of mature chats, I want to talk to you about my thoughts at the moment with what's going on about indoor racing and how it's really, really affecting outdoor racing. So let me take you young kids for a walk down memory lane, all right? So the way this used to play out is that when you would make your way through the grades or through the categories, you would always find that you were physically not as good. There's exceptions to these rules, but you were physically not as good as the people that you had just started racing. Your watts per kilo, your threshold was probably not as good as the majority of the people that you had just started racing. You would find other ways to, first of all, get through the race, and second of all, be successful in the race. And those other ways were learning how to corner better, learning how to save energy in certain spaces, using your positioning, using your speed, ways to manage yourself as a bike racer, not just an athlete. What we're finding now is athletes, as they come into grades, are physically as good as the best guys in that grade. If you broke it down to pure numbers-based, especially in criteriums, numbers-based analysis, you are probably looking at athletes physically comparable, if not better, than the best guys in that grade. You're saying, okay, well, so who cares? Just deal with it, Chris. It's just another person who's as good as you, just deal with it. But it has an effect. Because those people, as they come through the grades, are not learning those skills. And as the speed increases and as the power increases, well, the consequences increase. I am no saint here. I have been in crashes. I'm sure I've caused 1 or 2 crashes in my life. I know that. So don't take this as like, oh, Chris crashed, get over it. Just, you're not perfect. Certainly not. But what I'm saying is this, okay, and this is the kind of constructive part of this. This is the new normal. Oh, I can't believe I just said that, but I did. Because we have an influx of new cyclists, which is beyond fantastic. And a lot of those people are going to be coming through the virtual cycling world, and they'll come into bike racing as such. And here's the thing, the responsibility, yes, is on the individual. I will always 100% state that in the first place, that it is on the individual. But when you're talking about younger guys coming into it, I can't stress how important the coach is in this particular circumstance. Too often that it is an element of coaching that is just not addressed. It's very easy for coaches to just give out interval sessions and make these athletes stronger and stronger and stronger. It's dangerous from the perspective of crashes, but it's also dangerous from the perspective that you're going to create this athlete who doesn't know how to handle their power. They'll have a couple of crashes and they'll wreck the bike. Don't get me wrong, this is not some sort of kumbaya kind of, oh, let's all just do a big group hug before every race and hope everyone's, no. It's elite sport. I think back to, this is probably completely irrelevant, I'll put this on the cutting room floor, but when you used to go to cricket training, grade training, okay, and you might go in the nets with a couple of the first grade bowlers and you're a kid and they'd try and bounce you out, hit you in the head, right? Probably off a short run. And yeah, it was terrifying. It was scary as hell. You can't lose that aspect also from sport. You can hear me in the video after the crash. Yeah, I'm giving it, everyone, because I'm annoyed. I'm pissed off. It's elite sport. We've just had an incident. That's what's going to happen. It's not kumbaya situation. There's repercussions, there's consequences, there's responsibilities. And I suppose that's kind of the point of it. I don't know, there's an anecdote that I just wanted to put in. So there you go, there's an irrelevant anecdote. All right, now that I'm into irrelevant anecdotes, it's time to just finish this up. As far as me, mostly all grazing, that's a nasty one. It's like a burn sort of thing. You know what, that's the first actual crash I've ever had at Heffron Park, believe it or not. I can guarantee you the ground is very hard at Heffron Park. And as far as the bike goes, the saddle is destroyed. It looks like my left lever is destroyed. Apart from that, I'm going to get Felicia to have a bit of a look at the frame. Yeah, it looks like I might have got away with it in terms of the frame. So keep the entries in. Finish up with this. Keep the entries coming in to the... See, I'm smiling now. Keep the entries coming in to the jersey competition because I need a jersey. So I just destroyed it. Yeah, all right, so I'll let you know how we get on with this, and yeah, all right, see you soon, guys. Peace out, hey. That one.